In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice that this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave and has been posted on the bulletin board of Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad. Here. Councilmember Neville. Here. Councilmember Douglas. Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Beck.
Here. Glenn is on an excused absence. Okay, good evening. Before we begin the work session, we have a couple of presentations to make. It's always one of those bittersweet moments when somebody who's meant so much to this township comes before us to say goodbye from a professional standpoint. I don't think Brian's running away as far as the last I spoke with him. But our chief is preparing to move on. Old chiefs never die, you know, one of those deals. He'll be with us for a long time to come, but we want to salute Brian Marker. Would you come down here, Brian, so we can say nice things about you for a couple of minutes here? Lifelong resident, second-generation police officer. And he became a special officer and relief communications operator at the age of 18. That was a few years ago, right, Brian? And he was in the Explorer program at the age of 13. Okay, he became the first school resource officer for Lower Cape. He was promoted to sergeant. He was in the newly formed community policing unit. I think that probably more than anything is your relationship with our citizens that I would consider to be the hallmark of your career here. And you've had an outstanding relationship, and I think you've understood very well the importance and the role that police play and the public plays in helping the police to keep our town safe. In 2011, Brian was promoted to chief of police. He's able to, let me see, what else we got here. Gave him great training. We have excellent officers, says Brian. I know that one of the things that I'm most happy about was when I went to you about a year ago, you saw the same things I was seeing. And there was problems that were starting to emerge on the streets. And I think that they pretty much come to a head. And I'm specifically talking to the substance abuse issues. And your increase in cooperation, your decision to increase cooperation with the prosecutor's office, just one of the multiple prongs in going after this specific problem. And I'm grateful on a personal level, but I know the township is grateful for the work you've done in trying to combat this issue. So we have nothing but the best to say for you. I've had a good working relationship with you, and I'm happy for you. But if I could convince you right now to stick around a while, I probably would do that. But it's not there. It's not there. So I would ask council to come down and join me while we present Brian with his $50, $500 plaque, or whatever. If we raise taxes, it's your fault.
Both the plaque and the proclamation.
Proclamation. Do you want to read the proclamation? Okay. I got glasses, that's why. I'm the wealthy guy. I made it to the dollar store. You can hold that. I read this. Whereas Brian Marker, Q. Marker, is a lifelong Lower Township resident and a second-generation police officer who was sworn in as chief of police on July 1st, 2011. Whereas at the age of 13, Brian joined the Exploring program of the Lower Township Police Department. At age 21, became a patrolman and worked with the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office Tactical Patrol Team.
Whereas in 1994, Brian became the township's first school resource officer for the Lower Cape May Regional School District. And whereas while in the school resource program, Brian was promoted to sergeant and worked with a newly formed community policing unit in the Lower Township Police Department, and later was promoted to lieutenant and then to captain. Whereas Brian has been a truly great leader in the Lower Township Police Department and throughout our community, and our residents are better for having known him. Therefore, it is with great pleasure that I, Mayor Michael E. Beck, and the Lower Township Council do hereby congratulate Chief Brian Q. Marker on his retirement and express our sincere gratitude for the many contributions Brian has made to our community, and we wish him much success in all of his future endeavors. Signed this 17th of June. Brian, we'll miss you. That's a nice plaque, bro.
Very nice.
You get a nice one. Thank you. Do you have a few words you want to say?
Sure.
Well, just grab that microphone.
First, I really want to thank Mayor and Council and even your predecessors over the past 27 years I've been here. We've had a great chance to work together, really with what I believe is a common goal, and that is to solve problems and try to make our community better. I really think we made a difference in that area. I'm just grateful for the many blessings in my life, and I consider my career one of them. Also, the opportunity to not just work with people, but meet them even on a personal level, a chance to explain what's going on in our town, a chance to let them know what's happening, and a chance to understand them even a little bit better. Even tonight, some of my friends are here from the school district. I know they're here for another reason, but I honestly consider them friends because we built that relationship where I know I can go to them for anything, and they vice versa with me as well. Also in the back of the room, we have some of our officers here tonight who are really, the men and women of our department, and they're the ones where the rubber meets the road. They're the ones that make it happen. They're the ones, as I continue to say, at 2 o'clock this morning when I'm sleeping and you're sleeping, they're out there keeping us safe. So I just salute them, and I'm just so proud of them as well. So just on behalf of me and my family, we want to thank the town, thank the community for everything, and we look forward for future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack, would you mind coming up here, standing with us, please? Okay, folks, you should know that Jack didn't want any public ceremony about his retirement, but we're going to do it anyway. And we're going to do that because, most importantly, we honor so highly the profession that he represents. And we also honor his particular years of service in our township. We honor his profession because it's one of the noblest professions we have on the planet. And I mean by that it's the teachers that show us for the first time that there's stars out there. And they show us not only the stars, but then they tell us that we should reach for the stars. And if we reach for the stars, we can get the moon. If we shoot for a skunk, we'll hit it. And those are the things that teachers teach us. And thirdly, they teach us that we're all individuals. We're all special, and we each have our own star out there. And that star represents what we can become in our own lives as we try to achieve our own potential. That's what teachers do, is point to an individual star and says, that one's got your name on it. And finally, the teachers are the ones that tell us that when we are all finding our own stars in the sky, that we light up a dark world and make it a better place for everybody that's in it. And I can't think of a better way to describe the great honor that teachers have. Now, Jack is the CEO of a whole host of teachers. As a superintendent, he has to see to the needs and the resources of a huge operation. And he's been doing this for many years. And as he's been doing it, he's come to enjoy a reputation for being the kind of leader that listens first, seeks to understand before he seeks to be understood. In all of his dealings with his fellow teachers, he's been exceedingly fair and balanced. He's also been someone who recognizes that we in education need great tools, and we need great facilities, and we need resources. And I think one of the hallmarks of Jack's career is that he's made sure that our students have the best possible resources available to them and all the different things that he's brought to our township. But more importantly than anything else, Jack has a reputation for starting every sentence that he's ever had and finishing every statement with what's best for the students. It starts and ends with the students and what's best for them, and that's the only filter that Jack has had throughout his career. And to that, I now have a plaque, Jack, that I know is not nearly as valuable as the host of people that are going to look to you and remember you for the inspiration that you were, but this is something, a token of our appreciation. It says, proclamation honoring Jack Fismeyer. Whereas Jack Fismeyer held positions as an educator, including assistant principal for the Richard Titleman School, school business administrator, board secretary for Lower Cape May Regional Board of Education, and superintendent of schools for Lower Cape May Regional School District. And whereas Jack has dedicated his time and effort by making sure he gave the highest priority to the needs of all students. And whereas Jack has worked tirelessly to support Lower Township students and their families, and has helped build a strong community for public education. And whereas the fruits of these efforts have been translated into healthy, productive careers and lives of the children of Lower Township. Now therefore, Mayor Beck and the Lower Township Council do hereby congratulate Jack on his retirement and express our sincere gratitude for the contributions Jack has made to the residents of Lower Township and wish him much success in all of his future endeavors. Thank you. Let's give our
do I have to use that?
No.
Well, I wasn't really planning on saying anything, and it is true that I would actually prefer not to have this, although this is extremely, it makes me feel very thankful for having been here for the last 25 years. I do appreciate, I do appreciate this, although I wish in some respects that it didn't have to happen. But I will say this, I really enjoyed tremendously the 25 years that I've been here at Lower Cape May Regional. I started off as a year as assistant principal and was a business administrator, and was fortunate enough to be able to become the superintendent. I will say this, and I'll try to keep this real short, and unfortunately when you keep it short you kind of forget a lot of things that you probably should have said. But the relationships that I've had with board members for the last 25 years, and we have some board members that are here tonight, the relationship that I've had with the town councils of Lower, West Cape May, and Cape May have all been extremely positive. The people that I've had a chance to meet during these 25 years, I basically don't know anybody from where I live. I think I know pretty much everybody in these three towns, but I don't know too many people out there. But it's been great for me, to have those experiences. But the reality is, no matter what job that I had, I wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful as maybe that I have been. But if it wasn't for the people that I work with, day in and day out, we have a number of, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of the relationships that we have with the township. But if it wasn't for the teaching staff, the administrative staff, I mean, look, tonight I have Chris Kovic, who's going to be taking over for me, the two principals, Kathy Parker from our Education Association. I think it's a real good indication of the cooperation that exists, in our school district with our community. And I think those are the things that make for like a real positive experience. And maybe I have just been at the right place at the right time, and I really believe that that's true. But maybe I also, not maybe, but I've had a lot of great people that I've had a chance to work with, for 25 years, and they're the ones that, I kind of get to say, okay, we need to do this, and they go and do it. I mean, I don't really do it. They're the ones that actually, do all the different things that need to be done. So I thank you. I thank the council, the mayor and council, And I thank, the people in the community, but I also thank, everyone in our district for, for all their help for all those years. So. I don't know who has more hair. When I first met Brian, I think neither one of us had a lot of gray hair, and I think now we have a lot more gray hair and everything. But that's a real good indication. And I see Gary here and both Garys. That shows like the cooperation I think that really has existed for all these years. And it's been a great place for me. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better place to be.
Well done. Thank you.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, in following up on what Jack said, first off, he has established a tradition of great cooperation between our school and our community. And tonight we're going to talk about building on that tradition and taking it forward. And also consistent with what Jack said, in recognition that education is a team effort. When I invited Chris Kovic and Jack to consider coming here to make a presentation about all the different initiatives that are out there, they said, well, we're going to bring the whole team because we do it as a team. And I want the team here to make a presentation. So with that being said, I'm going to invite Chris Kovic and Jack to come forward and introduce the members of their team that are here. And they're going to give us a presentation for just a few minutes about the various initiatives that we have to improve our education. I'm going to recommend that they kind of pull that mic over so that they can see the audience as well as council. Yeah, wait. Yeah, that's good.
Just to repeat myself again, the cooperation that exists, I think, between the town and the school district, and for that matter, all three towns that we're involved with, I don't know if people realize how vital it is and how important it is. From the simple fact of, when the township needs, some of our facilities to use, to the time that we need the facilities that the township has that we don't have, it's a godsend really to have that cooperation, knowing that we can just reach out for that. I mean, it helps everybody. It helps out us. It helps the town. But we do it in a spirit of cooperation that really, I think, saves the taxpayers an awful lot of money because we have resources. The town has resources. Why not try to share those resources? So I mean, and that goes from the school resource officer through Public Works, through the Department of Recreation. I mean, it really does exist here. And it's extremely valuable to us, and I think extremely valuable to to Lower Township as well as the other two communities, Cape May and West Cape May. With that being said, just as I normally do, I mean, I will turn this over to Chris, who has put together a lot of the initiatives that we do have between the township and the school district. And without waiting any longer, let me introduce Chris, and we'll get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And once again, I do want to introduce Principal Greg Lasher of the Titleman School. Greg is coming around with some handouts that are just our talking points. If anybody in the audience would like one, just give Greg a little signal, he'll get one to you. Mr. Joe Castellucci, the principal of Lower Cape May Regional High School, and Kathy Parker is head of our Teachers Association. So, it seems that sometimes there's 100 miles between Township Hall and the Lower Cape May Regional Board of Education office, and I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Mr. Douglas and Mr. Playford, who are members of our Board of Education. So when Norris asked me to come here and talk about, how we can work together or how we work together, I thought, well, yeah, we have been doing that. After all, we are the community of Lower Township. This is our community. Many of our staff members live in Lower Township. Many of their children attend school in Lower Township. So At the risk of stating the obvious, Lower Township is part of a union that existed and was formalized back in the late 50s called Lower Cape May Regional. And your students are our students that live and reside in Lower Township, represent the majority of the students that attend Richard Titleman School and Lower Cape May Regional High School. So we want to answer two questions tonight. One is, traditionally, how have we worked together? And two is, what's new? And what are some ways we're exploring about working together? So with that, I'm going to introduce, to answer the first question, Principal Joe Castellucci and Greg Lasher, Principal of Titleman School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kovic. I think when we talk about the relationship we have with Lower Township, one of the things that I'm very appreciative of and never ever take for granted is that so many of the folks that work for the Lower Township municipality are on my speed dial, they're on my contact phone. I've worked with them for years, and so many of them, I call by first name. Certainly Brian Marker is a clear example of that. Brian was one of the first school resource officers in our school district and understood intimately, and it was very much a part of who he was to make that program not only unique among all school districts throughout the country, but exemplary. And we have one of the most workable, productive relationships with the local police department that you'll find anywhere. We work together, we try to help each other out for the safety and benefit of everyone, and knowing that Brian was there has made my job easier, and I hope vice versa. I hope I was able to help him out when necessary. That's been a tradition that preceded Brian, but Brian certainly is a major reason for that. And we could talk on and on about many of the incidents and issues that we work together on, but just know that it's something I never take for granted and appreciate greatly. This is being videotaped, and by the way, I'm more impressed with how this looks in person. I watch you every week. TV does not do you justice. You guys are much better looking in person.
I like this, guys.
But there's a future for your politics. Thank you. But what I would like to say is that will eventually get put onto the public access channel, which we manage in our school district, along with a number of other programs that we put on, including our own local school show that we air in the mornings, and we like to put on public assets. And hopefully now that we have the technology, we'll be able to do more things with that, including go live with our show, and maybe even do some more things for you folks in the community. We also host a number of events that the township actually spearheads, the most important of which is National Night Out, which we do at our school and have done, I believe, since its inception. And there's this really good band that plays there. If you ever want to hire them for weddings, bar mitzvahs, etc., we play every year at National Night Out, and that is a school teacher band. That's a bunch of us that play, and that's just something that we try to do to help that local program. Our kids participate every year in a lot of community service projects. Community service is a big part of our curriculum. It's a mandatory part of their membership in National Honor Society. We have a Key Club, which is a service organization. We have a Triumph Music Honor Society, which is a service organization. And service is also a typical component of a lot of our extracurricular activities, including athletics. Most of our teams adopt a service project. Most of that is done in-house. Most of that's done for the community. There are programs that we adopt, there are people that we adopt in the community, including our Christmas and Thanksgiving food drive to help folks in our community. And one of the other things that we do traditionally and have done for many years is beach cleanup. We go around to all the beaches in the township along the bay, as well as Cape May, every year and participate in that program. We make somewhat of a science project out of it, try to tag and understand where that comes from and how it affects the environment. But it's also something we do in service to the community and help the community out in that way. We have had a tradition of adult education programs in our school. Much of that used to happen at night. This year we invited, through a program that started with your rec department, senior citizens from the Millman Center and started advertising a program there to come into our school and have our kids teach them about technology, things that seniors may struggle with, use of the internet, developing a web page, social internet and social media type pages. And they came on a weekly basis, had a great time, and that was not only something we hope benefited them, but we felt we got a lot out of it for our students as well. Interaction and understanding the importance of working with the seniors and how important they are to our community. I could go on. One of the things that you should know is I will continue to call the next chief and the next officers that run the program to help elicit their help for many things. Mitch Flynn is somebody I know by first name. Mitch and I talk quite often. We try to work with each other in terms of use of facilities and what he needs and I need. It's something, again, that I appreciate a great deal and never take for granted. And I hope that you see these partnerships as something that's mutually beneficial.
Good evening, everybody. Mayor, council, town members, thank you for having us here tonight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Greg Lasher, the principal at Titleman. Prior to being promoted to principal, I was assistant principal, and prior to that, I was a math teacher. One of the things that increased as I climbed the ladder of success was my hours. And as I stay late nights now, arrival at 7, departure at 6, it's eye-opening to think of all the people that use our facilities. From I'd almost be afraid to start naming names because I'm sure I'd miss somebody. There's a couple of things noted in the presentation: men's basketball, baseball leagues. I can't even begin to account for all the people that hit our athletic fields and use our facilities during the weekends. I know for years the EMTs were in there. And again, I'd be scared to name anybody because I wouldn't want to leave anybody out. But Titleman is far from a place just for students. The number of adult organizations that come in now is innumerable. It's always a pleasure to see things get done properly. We appreciate Lower Township Public Works helping with trash, helping with whatever cleanup, helping with wherever they can assist. Looking out the window of the number of trucks that drive in and out on a daily basis, again, is amazing. The things we try and do for the community, it's sad but true that there are several students that come to our school in need. Our student government, in conjunction with our students, do Thanksgiving and Christmas food baskets. Also noted on your agenda is what's called the backpack program. One of our teachers made an initiative this year to try and target the neediest students. And what we appreciate, we have free and reduced lunch to target the kids and feed them 5 days a week. We know that perhaps on the weekends they don't get anything or they get very limited food, so we send them home with backpacks on Fridays to hopefully carry them through the weekends. It's been a huge drive this year that actually went over to the high school a little bit. It feels good to help kids in need, the number of teachers and students that have stepped forward, and teachers that have contributed monetarily. Again, I know I'm using the word a lot, but it's just innumerable. And finally, as much as I hate to think we ever have a crisis at school, when we do have school-based youth services set up at the high school to help respond to needs. And actually, speaking of crisis, well, I like to think nothing bad would ever happen. It was nice that we were able to stage the full-scale drill this year with Mr. Marker. It was to bring in SWAT and to bring in all the agencies we did to coordinate a drill so that if there ever was a crisis, that we were best prepared to handle it. So just a couple of other things that happen outside the academia in our district. Thank you.
So in addition to some of the things mentioned, there's also some of those other obvious things. Our music programs go out to senior centers. They're on the mall in Cape May. They're over here for tree lighting ceremonies. We send our kids to the community to celebrate in all of those traditional community things that happen. We also have a good relationship with the United States Coast Guard. And while I know the Coast Guard base is not located in Lower Township, because you're part of that A Tribus Unum, that Lower Township, West Cape May, and Cape May that make Lower Cape May Regional, that's an important piece. We have a mentor program down at the Titleman School that's a terrific proactive measure to make a connection with students. While we have our own advisee program, crisis response, all kinds of extra helps, programs for students, we do have problems with some of the students in the community, and that Coast Guard mentor program has just been terrific for our at-risk potential dropout students. So we've been exploring what traditionally we've done. I didn't mention web design services. I didn't mention some of the service learning projects, like where engineers would go, or students in our engineering program would go to a construction project in the community and actually do renderings. However, we're now at the point in the presentation where, well, what's been new? And with that, I have Kathy Parker, who is yes, in charge of our Teachers Association, but also happens to be a senior teacher in our business program. So one of the things we've really been trying to do with kids is to make learning real for them. So we've been sequencing courses and building in industry standard certifications and trying to develop mentorships and partnerships so that students can see that the reason they're in high school is because they're going somewhere. And by bringing in the community and making some of those business connections, we hope to do that. Kathy's going to speak a little bit more about some of those ideas specifically.
Well, I'm not sure about that senior teacher comment. I am a Lower Township resident. I've been teaching at the high school for 28 years. In fact, Mr. Marker, I don't know if you remember when we did your webpage. Before the Lower Township Police even had a webpage, my students were learning to do that, and we actually got them started. Just some things that we've done this year. We are developing a relationship with Congress Hall to actually, we have some internships this year, and also I'm going to be teaching a retail marketing class on which we're going to have a relationship where we can bring kids in and learn the accounting, the advertising, and develop a relationship with them so our kids can see firsthand how that looks in the business world. I think you remember Dave Pasovich has been here about the Honor a Veteran program. We're going to have our student council take over that program. Basically, we have selected every couple months a veteran, and we do the flag ceremony for them. It's wonderful to see our young people come out and watch that and take help out a little bit with what they do down at that sunken ship. Our community dancing program this year, we had an idea. We wanted to try to clean up maybe the dancing that goes on with the young people. So we paid for dancing lessons for our teenagers and our senior citizens and anybody. We opened up to the community and we had ballroom dancing lessons. Then we brought in some other community people and they actually really enjoyed it. I mean, that turned out very well. Mr. Castellucci talked to you about our computer for seniors. I will tell you, I went over and it was wonderful to watch seniors learning how to get an email account, learning how to create something on the computer, learn how to shop for the first time. And watching these young people really did a great job with that whole program. We're thinking about this volunteer. Mr. Castellucci talked about what we do now, but we believe there's more of a need in the community for volunteerism, and we're thinking about trying to pool resources where we could have a database where if people in our community need help, that we could then, offer our services for kids. A lot of kids are always looking for volunteer opportunities, so we thought maybe we could try to get involved with that in the future. And then also I'm involved with the Future Business Leaders of America, and that's our business club. And once a month we have a meeting. We have it at a local business. Each of our local businesses will speak about how they got started, what it takes to get involved in business, and we have a good program. So we've reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, and we're always looking for local businesses to bring our kids to so they can learn firsthand, how to run a business. So there's some ideas that we've done.
Thank you, Mrs. Parker. I would like to personally thank Norris Clark, who has actually worked with me throughout the course of the year in developing some of our new business partnerships. One of the unique programs that we've started there with, of course, the cooperation and the help of Mr. Castellucci and the guidance department is a program specifically targeting our juniors. And that is to bring in people from the business community to lay out for kids firsthand, right from the horse's mouth, what it takes to succeed in business, what it takes to succeed from somebody else. Some might say familiarity breeds contempt, or others might say familiarity just breeds general numbness and inattentive listening. Sometimes bringing in a different face for the kids, somebody from the community to talk to them and deliver this very same consistent message can be an eye-opener and educative, not just for the speaker coming in, but especially for the students. So as we continue to develop that business mentorship program, I'll look forward to continuing to work with you on it. And thank you again so much, Norris. Another initiative that the township actually is involved in that I was invited to a meeting was your Economic Development Committee. I was thrilled as one of a team of educational leaders to be able to sit with key business people in the community and really talk about the relationship that the school has and some of the programs that the school has in place to help support the business environment and how we can work together to help improve the economic status of Lower Township. Clearly, the school is a vehicle for social change and betterment. Clearly, it's not one size fits all, and yes, we do have our challenges, but we've got a ton of services for kids, all kinds of extra help, a ton of resources through the good graces of people like me, the taxpayer, okay, who support that school system and who help us do the very best we can for kids. So I thank you for this opportunity to talk to people tonight. We have a wonderful team over there. We're not too far away. It's just a couple of miles down the road, and we are your school. Thank you again so very much.
Just in case anyone doesn't know, Chris Kopik will be taking over as superintendent of the high school. And I think he said it all, and I think he's setting a great example as we go forward. And I want to thank you for stepping up and organizing this, Chris, and I look forward to working with you as we do all to see these things go forward. And
Thank you very much.
thank you.
I would like to say goodbye to Jack. Welcome, Chris. Thank you, teachers, administrators, for everything. And thank you, Norris. This was well done. I can see why you're in communication, but it's good to have him kind of as a liaison with the schools. And he's been putting a lot of work over there. So it's a good program. Thank you again.
It's been very helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Moving on down, let me see where we're at. Sharon Perez. Am I pronouncing that right, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay. Well, look, I put a little, asterisk or something over it anyway. Beers, Sharon, would you step forward? Sharon had reached out to me through an intermediary. This is a program called Odyssey, Opening Doors for Out-of-School Youth. And I will let her explain it. And what it boils down to is it's a no-cost employment program assisting eligible youth ages 16-21 that have dropped out of high school. We can get them back on the road to success by helping them get their GED, improve their work skills, enroll in job training or college, and find a good job. Okay, so can you take it from there, Sharon? Thank you.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for allowing me and the public for allowing me to come and speak about our program this evening. Odyssey stands for Opening Doors for Out-of-School Youth, and it provides educational and employment assistance to...
Get a little closer to the mic. That'll be better. Thank you.
We provide educational and employment assistance to income-eligible Cape May County youth. Odyssey is funded by the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development through the Atlantic Cape May Workforce Investment Board. We've been in operation. We're going into our 13th year of service. The youth that we serve are ages 16 to 21, with a primary focus on youth who have left school, who have dropped out of school, trying to help them obtain their GED, and get into employment or training or post-secondary education. This was a tough group to follow. I previously worked in our in-school youth support program and indirectly got to work with a lot of the educators that spoke this evening and were honored this evening. And despite their efforts, and there's some amazing people, I also had the privilege of sitting on the schools that count for Lower Cape May Regional High School, and saw some amazing things happening. But despite those efforts, there are some youth through circumstances make the unfortunate choice to drop out of school. And there are programs like mine funded through WIA funding, Workforce Investment Act funding, that reach out to those youth and try to help them by picking up those pieces, as you said, to get their GED and go on to occupational skills training, post-secondary education, and gainful employment. We help them with their GED. We use the existing GED classes in the county, but a lot of people, if you go in there, a lot of times the attendance is kind of light. So one of the things that Odyssey can do is by providing transportation assistance, a bus pass. We can also provide, support for them to get there. There may be other barriers that they're experiencing that prevent them from going to the classes. For some of the youth, the classes alone are not enough. So we also provide one-on-one counseling with qualified teacher, one-on-one tutoring with qualified teachers. So some of the youth benefit from that as well. As I said, we are funded by the Atlantic Cape May Workforce Investment Board. Eligibility guidelines include being low income. They use the lower living standard as eligibility for low income. Classified youth we also are encouraged to work with classified youth. If a youth is classified, they are also classified as a family of one, and so family income does not come into play. They are automatically eligible for our program, which is a benefit to a family with a youth who is classified. Pregnant and parenting teens, adjudicated youth, we do work with the courts and they're familiar with our program. They often send youth to our program to work with them and help support them in getting their GED. We also work with youth who are basic skills deficient and obviously in helping them getting ready for the GED. So knowing that about these youth, you kind of see a picture of some very tough to serve young people. It's a tough group right from the beginning because once they leave school, unfortunately, they become very, very disconnected. So one of the hardest parts of my job is actually locating them, doing the outreach, doing the recruitment, because a lot of times once they've left school, they don't want anything to do with anything like school. So we have to provide a variety of different types of ways of addressing their GED supports that they need. Maybe not a class. Tutoring, one-on-one might work for them. Online options, we use online study options as well. So we provide very individualized services using a career plan developed with the youth, with their parent, and often other supports to help address their individual needs. We also provide employment assistance. As you know, Cape May County, it's a tough place, off season to find work, especially for someone who is 16, 17, 18, who has very little work experience. So we provide individual and group training to improve work readiness and job search skills, career planning assistance, assistance in pursuing occupational skills training, enrollment in post-secondary education. A lot of the youth that come to us, they don't know how to go about enrolling in college or where to find occupational skills training support. So we help them with that. One of the best parts of our program, and it's a really exciting part, is our work experience program. We partner with local businesses, both private and public, and we're able to provide jobs for kids that have no work experience or little work experience. So we have a worksite agreement with an employer. We make sure that it's a good work environment that can provide work experience that will benefit the youth. And then we help them, we pay their salary. So for the employer, it's a no-brainer. They get some extra help, and they get to benefit a youth and help a youth, and the employers are really amazingly on board with this. They love the opportunity to show their business and their workplace and get some youth, excited about the business that they do. And so the youth go in and they get some work experience through that program. A lot of times it's just a way for them to explore entry-level employment, but sometimes it ends up that they're hired by the people that they're doing the work experience for, so it's really exciting when that happens. A lot of times they also find their calling through that. I had a young man last year who did a work experience with the Cape May County Historical Museum, and he was so good at the stuff that he was doing. He was actually helping catalog things and helping them arrange displays. He was very interested in the historical things going on in Cape May County, and he's actually going to college for that now, which is really exciting. Going into 13 years of service to the community, Odyssey has assisted hundreds, literally hundreds of Cape May County youth to obtain their GED, to pursue training, to further their education, and become gainfully employed. So We hope that we'll be able to continue to provide that service to the youth that need it. We hope that it won't be necessary. A big part of my job, like I said, having been in the in-school youth program, I have a lot of connections with guidance counselors, child study teams, and a big part of what I do, I'm often called in to talk to youth who are thinking about dropping out and explaining to them how the GED is not the easy way. It's not the way to go. And so that's very gratifying when a lot of students come. I speak to them and they don't come into our program, and I find out later from their guidance counselor that they've stayed in school, so that's nice. Unfortunately, the ones that do choose to drop out, this service is there for them and we can provide some assistance.
When we spoke, I know that maybe you mentioned it, but we talked about the changes in the GED program. Could you bring that up real quick, just so that people know? I think there's an impetus behind trying to get some of these dropouts to register. Would you?
Yeah, the GED that exists has been in existence for over 10 years, and they've just recently decided that it needed to be revamped to kind of bring the GED standards up a little bit, kind of a little bit more in keeping with what's going on in the high schools. GED graduates are not having an easy time getting into colleges and getting into similar employment, so there's a push to upgrade the GED test. The effect of that on some of the youth that I work with is, at the end of this year, the old GED test as it exists will be phased out completely, and a new GED test will take its place. I'm on the committee to help try to get this information out there, and I get sample questions and sample sections in my email. It's hard. It's much harder than the existing GED. So for youth who are classified or who have special needs, or situations that prevent them from doing well academically, it's going to be very tough. There's going to be a lot of youth that may not be able to get a GED. So the push right now is to try to reach out to the youth who have already taken the test. There are 5 sections. If they've taken a bunch of sections and passed, but have maybe 1 or 2 sections left, they must finish it before the end of this year, or that will be wiped out, and they will have to start all over again. So that's a tough thing. For a lot of the youth that are struggling with the current test, it may be near to impossible for them to get the GED when it comes out. So we're trying to reach out to those youth and get them in as soon as we possibly can.
Sharon, how can we help you get the word out? And where is the greatest opportunity to intersect with young people that need or recognize that they could take advantage of this? Where do you find the opportunities?
A lot of my contact with youth is really word of mouth, and it's great to know that the youth talk to their friends, they talk to their cousins, their brothers, their boyfriends, their girlfriends, and the word gets out there. So a lot of our referrals really come from word of mouth. There is no one location where dropouts congregate, so that's what makes the outreach for my program so very difficult. I mean, I know they're out there. I know that those youth are out there, and it's youth accumulating over years that have dropped out. I have some flyers and some information I can certainly pass out and make available to the public.
What's the range? What time range does it take for someone to complete the GED? I mean,
It depends.
What expectations do you set? Huh?
It depends on the individual. I had one young lady who dropped out, although I tried to encourage her not to, at age 16, just a combination of situations. She dropped out at 16, and within 2 weeks she had a GED. She had it with honors, as a matter of fact. So it wasn't a lack of, academic skills in her case. She had other difficulties that made it very, very difficult for her to stay in school. But
Didn't you have a father and a son or something? Weren't you telling me something about that?
that I didn't in my program. I attend. We have a partnership with Cape May County Technical School, who they actually do the GED testing. They're the GED testing site for Cape May County, and I went to GED graduation. They have a wonderful graduation. The youth in my program actually get to walk in graduation with a cap and gown, pomp and circumstance. They have a reception after. It's absolutely wonderful. But they had a father, a son, and a mother who all got their GED this year through that program.
That's cool.
And that was amazing. They had a standing ovation.
Yeah, and they should. We're trying to do what we're talking about, which is to get the message out. We appreciate everything the schools are doing, like we said, but there's always a few that fall between the cracks. And when you look at, no social problem stands alone. And when we're faced with a situation like we are, say for instance with substance abuse, which is a huge puzzle, a very tiny piece, but a piece, is this issue. I mean, when you look, and I started pulling some of the numbers up, and you talk about like the economic between somebody who drops out of school and somebody who goes to college and gets through. It's like and this was like U.S. Department of Education 2011 numbers, a high school dropout 19,500, but a bachelor's degree is 46,900 you can expect to earn as a median income. Now that's going back a few years, but I'm sure that stays consistent. So there's that part of it, an economic, a life of economic loss if you drop out of school.
Absolutely.
There is the tie-in with every conceivable kind of problem as far as substance abuse, whether it's cigarettes or alcohol, marijuana, prescription drug use. You see a much greater use by those who have dropped out in 12th grade than by current 12th grade students. And most important of all, perhaps, is the human cost. You have a waste of a life. Somebody that had potential but decided not to finish. Who's to say that girl that you coached and did her GED in 2 weeks, drop back in a few years and she may be, who knows what. The sky is like Narcissus the limit on something like that. So
She's actually graduating ACC early.
Yeah.
She went right to ACC after
the
getting...
light came on. And sometimes it is something where a kid goes out and experiences what the street really is like, and they make an honest decision while they're still able to be reclaimed. We support what you do. If there's anything we can do to help you, we certainly can. Counsel, you okay with all this as far as that goes? You all right, Nurse?
Thank
Are
you.
you done? Thank you. Okay. Now we go down to the consent agenda. And questions, comments?
I would like to move ordinance 2013, 14, and 15, well, 2013-14, 2013-15, the regular agenda.
Okay. Do we have any council comments or questions on the other consent agenda items?
Excuse me, Councilman Conrad, was that 13, 14, and 15?
No. It's 2013-14, 2013-15.
Okay, thank you.
It just happens to fall.
Okay.
We won't have this problem again this year.
Okay. All right, we'll open up the public comment on the consent agenda. If you have any comments, questions, step forward. Close the public. Come on. Bring him up here. I didn't see a hand, I didn't see anybody move. Let me help you up here. We need the microphone first of all. No.
I don't know, I can talk without it.
Hey, you can. I've seen that happen. But go ahead.
Just a few items on the resolution. Resolution 2013-168.
Yes.
Authorizing for engineer. Don't we have a full-time engineer?
I'm so happy you brought that up.
I'm sure you are. I can say
you know what? I meant to even bring that up. We do. And that's what our engineer is going to charge people who come before the boards, $75. That's our way of getting back a lot of what his salary is. However, I believe in the prior years, when we had an engineer from a firm, they charged as high as $150, I've been told. So not only are we paying for him by using him as the board engineer, he has saved countless amounts of money inside town hall, but now he's going to save the residents money. We had to establish a set fee so that we could charge people who come before the board and need their plans reviewed.
Well, I thank you for your explanation, because just looking at it, you don't even know what it is.
No,
it's like just a charge for
he's
$5 an hour in addition to what he's doing. So the explanation to get out to the public it's very good, and if it saves the taxpayer any money, you know,
absolutely.
for that.
That comes under the heading, it's all good.
All right, well, we'll work on it.
All right?
And in 2013, 173.
Uh,
I know we had somebody down here from the state with,
BPU.
actually for an electrical part to sign up or try to.
This is a different-
put something together that.
Yes.
Will be savings to the township and also to
Right.
the residents in the township. That contract there is, actually, what would be the kilowatt hour on that contract as far as the cost?
This is different. This is for the township, town hall, and this is the county co-op. This is not the situation that we were referring to with the township residents.
So it won't carry over to.
No, it does not. This is something, that'll be coming very shortly.
Township gets
Right.
nothing out of the other.
That's a different item altogether, and that will be coming before this council
Right,
shortly.
so that's all it is strictly for the
That's all,
township.
that's also
So
all.
we're out of the solar energy now as far as developing that for the township or any hookups or anything that was planned before with the property back here with connection with the MUA.
Yeah.
That's all dead now?
Well, I'm not quite sure that is. I think that one of the issues that we're waiting on, and being honest about, is a decision, say, on a police station, and to see where we're headed with that. And once that decision's made, to see what the blueprint will be back here. Because if we come back here with that, there's the potential that it might be geothermal. But that's to be unveiled also in the next couple months.
But this contract is for a period of time.
This has nothing to do with the...
No, but it's for a period of time, it's for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
It's 2 years, and actually, the Atlantic City electric rate is .08695 cent, and the Hess rate that the county got was .0849, so they saved 2 thousandths of a penny.
All right, so there'll be a saving there.
Yeah, and
For the
as far as
electric.
the other rate was .06, and they got it for .0525, so that was 3/4.
All right, well, okay, that answers that question. I just have one more now. And this is nothing against the chief or anything, it's just a matter of insurance copay on 2013-180. The addendum there between the township of Lower and Brian Marker, it's not because Brian Marker said anybody that is going to retire will be picking up the insurance copay for retirement down the line.
Now, this is a separate agreement that we had with him that has nothing to do with our other contracts.
All right.
Okay, this is just, and it really doesn't change anything. He just, I think there was a reason he wanted something that was like basically in writing as far as that goes.
All right, so that was just actually
Yeah.
a one-time situation
Right,
right
and
now.
it has nothing to do with the other
All right,
contracts.
thanks for the information, and I'm done now.
We got one in. Thank you.
I got one.
You got one? Go ahead, Frank.
Frank Sirocco, Villas. The resolution I'm questioning about is the 2013-67. Now, it's $185,000 for
167. Oh, for the reassessment?
the reassessment.
Okay, yes, it is.
Now, you've got down here exclusive, and inclusion with not less than 37,000. Now,
That's 5 years.
right, that's for 5 years.
Yeah,
Now,
37,000 a year for
so
5
we're
years.
doing this on a credit card business thing. Like
Well,
credit card. So
it's an
We're not
emergency.
split it up instead of having one
Yeah.
line item for the whole thing in 1 year.
Right.
Why?
Rather break it
If
up
you're going to
into
do it
five.
at one time, why are we busting it up? Don't we have the
Because-
money to pay for this?
Yes,
If we don't have the money to
It's-
pay for this, why are we doing it?
it's to make it easier for the taxpayers, instead of paying half a penny to have it done, which is what 187,000 roughly is, we're breaking it up into 5 payments and just paying it off that way. It's saving the taxpayers.
You're still paying. It's
You're
like,
still paying,
you
but
never
instead
get
of
out of
having
debt
tax
by
increase-
borrowing.
It's not
so to
borrowing,
speak.
it's just spreading out the payment.
Yeah.
It's not in the capital, it's an emergency appropriation, which we have.
I understand that, but like I said, if we don't have the money to do this, why are
No
we doing
interest
it?
on it.
Well, we have to do it, Frank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The argument is whether or not we want to pay for it at one shot. You take $200,000 out of a budget at one time, you've got a problem. If you spread it out over 5 years or whatever, okay, it's a bump, but it's not something that's cataclysmic.
Or,
Mike, I understand the fact that what you're trying to do is cut down on the appeals. That I can understand.
It's more than cut down on the appeal. Yeah, you're absolutely
it's
right.
fair to every taxpayer.
It's to make it fair to those people who did.
It-
Go ahead.
If you're,
Well, if we
your
already
neighbor
did
has
it
the
twice,
same identical house,
isn't it fair now?
No, because the appeals actually kind of, you're now paying for the appeals. The prices of the houses are way high. They're still coming down, but they're starting to balance out. But if your neighbor, you and your neighbor have identical houses, he appeals, and same size lot, he appeals, he wins, he's paying less tax, and guess who's paying
Well,
his
then
share?
that's my problem, because I didn't follow
Right.
up on mine.
But once,
So
but once
that's-
the number hits, the problem is once we go over to 15%, I think it's 115% over value, the state orders us to do one, and then it costs $1.2 to $1.8 million to
I
do.
can understand that too, but
So
can't you
what
do
would you rather
something with
pay,
the appeals board?
180 or 1.8 million?
Well, you know, these people go to the appeals board, and if
But if everyone-
it's up to the appeals board.
But
to
every
either-
appeal
to-
costs the taxpayer also, because we have to send the lawyer, the assessor, and everybody else.
I
So
understand
if we
that.
just do it across the board and make it fair across the board for everybody, we're saving money.
You're having a little hard time convincing me of this.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address council? Close the public portion.
Approval of the minutes from May 30th, 2013 and June 3rd, 2013. Resolution 2013-166 through Resolution 2013-181. And ordinance number 2013-13. An ordinance amending the property maintenance code of the Township of Lower. This deals with section 302.4 weeds. This is the first reading. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for July 1st, 2013.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve in a second? Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-14, an ordinance amending Chapter 185 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Lower. This ordinance takes out the requirement of notices prior to the summons for property maintenance compliance. This is the first reading. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for July 1st, 2013.
Okay. Tom, you have comments?
yes, I'm pulling for, I asked for this to go to the regular agenda because it doesn't give any leeway for someone that's having a medical condition or anything like that. We always had the leeway with the code enforcer could look into things or maybe the manager could overlook. But the problem is by using certain wording, it locks it in that no matter what, this is what's going to happen. And my fear, and I see this application, is somebody, say a senior, they're going out to cut the grass, they fall. They break their hip, they go to the hospital. The grass was already too high, now it gets higher. Code enforcement's called, the neighbors have fit, they don't know what's going on. They go out there, okay, they need a citation. Person's in a nursing home, rehab. 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by, they get out, they're in no shape to cut the grass, but they got a citation and now the township's cutting the grass. It's not really fair to those. 99.9% of the times that the code enforcer goes out there, there's no issues. But sometimes there's a medical issue and someone in the township has to have some discretion to go, wait a second. Under the way it's put, there is no discretion for that. This is the way it's going to be. We have to look at, there are people here that sometimes, we're talking about people falling in the cracks. I don't want us to run them over. Because some of the fees we have for that is not meant to hurt the residents like that. It's just a simple change of language. I've talked to our solicitor, Mr. Salmon. We believe we have a simple solution.
Yeah.
And we put it in and we'll be set for next week.
We did review that together, and I agree that in subsection 185-4, there's a compliance that uses the word shall with regard to violations, that within 10 days, the law enforcement officer, as it's presently written, shall remove or abate the condition, and then charge the owner or lien the property for the cost. You suggested, and I agree, that we will remove the shall and replace it with may, so that he has the discretion to do that. And I think that probably the best example of how he would use that discretion is there are properties that are normally consistently cared for, and if all of a sudden this particular property also is uncared for, it gives the code enforcement officer the opportunity to look a little further into why that is, as opposed to the habitual offender.
And I don't want it to be used in court. If we take someone else to court, all of a sudden they go, oh, they gave this leeway, and it says shall. There is no leeway. This way, if something does happen, it still works in court, saying it was at his discretion that it goes forward. Because there are some properties that need to be maintained, and the township may have to do it, and I don't want to give them any leeway on getting out of that.
Okay. So we're going to change the language?
Done.
It's done. So we're voting on the language change. You okay with it now? Does anybody else on council have a, and we're doing that for the,
Well, we'll get to that once
when we get to the other one.
And let me be a little more specific.
You want to read it out?
We, in the ordinance 2013-15, which is a amendment to the property maintenance code, I don't believe that provision exists.
Okay.
That was changed just to be consistent with the ordinance in section 185 that deals with the same situation. It does appear in 185-4. I don't see it in 107.6.
So would there be a problem or not?
No problem.
Okay.
The two have to be changed just to be consistent on the notice provision, not the
Okay.
enforcement.
We didn't have to do 15, I'm sorry.
This clarifies it.
Yes.
And you're all right?
By changing the shall in 185-4 on the third line down, from a shall to a may, just one word, it corrects the situation.
Okay, so be it. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve first reading of 2013-14.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-15, an ordinance amending the property maintenance code of the Township of Lower. Again, it's no notice prior to summons for property compliance. This is also the first reading. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for July 1st, 2013.
As directed by the solicitor that there is no issue, I make a motion to approve.
Very good.
Second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Regular agenda. Resolution 2013-182, appointments to the Recreation Advisory Board, excuse me.
I'd like to nominate for the three regular members, Deb Johns, Mike Lang, and Dave Pasovich. And we'll hold off on the alternate member to the next.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution 2013-183, this is appointments to the Planning Board.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate for the planning board, Jay Dilworth, Fred Long, and Brian Sullivan.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution 2013-184, appointments to the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Council, I'd like to nominate John Armbruster, Diane Kelly, and Steve Comer.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
2013-185, authorization for payment of vouchers. This is for Douglas Landscaping in the amount of $5,192.50.
I'll make a motion to pay it.
Is there any council?
Oh, sorry, council.
Council comments on it?
No.
All right. Is there any public comments on it? No? Go.
Motion to pay. Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-11. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2012-21 entitled Salary and Benefit Ordinance for the Township of Lower. This ordinance adds the position called Park Attendant. This is the second reading and public hearing, and the ordinance was made available to the public.
Okay, this is the individual that comes in and he works in the evenings and patrols some of our parks and basically just kind of keeps an eye on them. You know, he's acted well, and was put there basically in the complaints that we've had in reference to some of the parks and some of the conduct we've had at some of the parks. And he has been worth his weight in gold in a lot of ways because of keeping an eye on some of the parks as we go along. So I have no problem with that. We'll open it up to public comment on 2013. It's a public hearing on this one. Go ahead.
Just a question on that one. Is that a full-time position or a part-time?
No.
It's a part-time position?
Just hours,
Pay
yeah.
per hour?
Yeah,
All right, that's...
as needed.
Yeah, because once it goes on the salary list, you know, as far as your job title...
It's a summer job.
Yeah, it's a summer job.
Right.
Oh, okay, well, it's not explained that way, and even on your ordinance, you know, it never explained as that, just you're gonna put it also
Right.
on your salary schedule and stuff like that, your job title schedule. All right,
It goes under the subcategory of other, and it shows a salary range of $7 to $11 an hour.
Okay, very good, thank you, Bill.
Okay. Go down to the, oh, did we,
We need a motion.
we got, is there anybody else that has a comment on that? Okay, close the public portion. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-12. An ordinance authorizing an emergency appropriation under NJSA 484-53 for the completion of a reassessment program in the Township of Lower. The amount of this ordinance is $185,000. This is the second reading and public hearing, and this ordinance has been made available to the public.
Okay, is there any council comments on this?
We just made them a few minutes ago.
I think so. Do we have public comments on this ordinance?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Please step forward,
I
sir.
can't keep my hand down.
I
don't know to say something anyway.
Come on down.
All right, I pulled the ordinance on this one and read it and went down through it. And at the last meeting, I questioned you on that ordinance, and you said there was 5 in-house people that you're going to hire.
Yeah, not all in-house. I think that there's some are in-house. Some are not.
Well, that's what you...
Okay, go ahead.
Last time.
Yeah.
Well, if they're looking at it, there's people who's going to be on the street, just like a regular reval. And they'll be...
Well, they have to do a certain amount of visits.
Well, they'll have to actually, they get paid per house, $750.
Right.
So it's more or less like a commission-based thing, where you're actually production-based thing. So they have to do so many houses. But
right.
Also on that there, it looks like there's $125 per hour for the tax assessor.
Yes.
And this whole thing, actually, what's the point of it? Councilman Conrad mentioned about the value of the properties. We all understand that. But what's really the end result is? It's not going to benefit actually the taxpayers.
Yes, it will.
Where?
It absolutely will. It will benefit the taxpayers because you'll have a fair tax system, or at least one that, let's put it this way, right now, and you know this, you've had the tax appeals. When you have a tax appeal, somebody has the value of their house lessened because of what we've had with the recession and the housing market crash.
Right.
So other people have to pick up the slack. And I don't, you know...
The other people don't appeal it.
Well, yeah, you're right, because they don't appeal it. But we end up having, right now we have tax appeals being held or heard as we're speaking, between now and whatever. Now, if I had, suppose I have a $4,000 tax bill, and the tax people up at the county say, no, your bill is now $3,000. That means in December, at the end of the year, I get $1,000 less, which means I'll have $1,000 less next year in my surplus.
Right.
To start the year, I'm in the hole next year, $1,000. Now, the rest of the taxpayers are going to have to make up that money. Because I'm not getting, just because the prices of houses have gone down, doesn't mean that the price of my cars that I have to pay, or the gasoline, or the electric bill's going down. That still has to be paid. When we had a tax increase this past year, it was primarily due to losses we took in tax appeals last year. and also for uncollected taxes. I mean, out of the, the auditor sat here and said out of the 1.1 million in new spending, 800 and some $1,000 was to make up for lost revenue from the year before.
So that's the reason
We can't do that.
2.9 increase this year.
I know what it was. I know exactly what it was. And you know, the new spending was, we told you this, I have it memorized. It was about 200 and some $1,000 based upon contracts that set the future for this township. It was a worthy expenditure. It'll set the future for this township. The rest of the money we got hit with because, and as a myriad of towns did, strictly because of the housing market crash and the tax appeals that followed after that. You have to have, Tom's right, at a certain point, we're teetering on the edge of being ordered a total reval by the state. And we moved judiciously ahead of the state to file for a reassessment at 1/10 the cost.
Right,
What it
but
would
this
cost
will
us
do-
if we went for a total reval, and 1/10 the aggravation.
What this is going to do is actually going to stop your tax appeals coming up for next year.
Hopefully, Ed, if I may, what happens is there are going to be winners, there are going to be losers. If you look at it like the amount of money you got to pay to the township in taxes, because in the last 5 years, almost every transaction was done for less than the assessed value, and all that homeowner had to do was go to the tax board and say, "Your taxes says it's worth $420,000, and I paid $300 for it," and their bill went to value of $300,000. That's where the value then is up to over $115,000.
I totally understand all that,
Yeah.
because in 2007, when you had Tyler came in and revalued this whole thing, it really screwed up the town.
Right, it was in the top of the market.
When that happened,
Yeah.
when that happened, that's when the taxpayer association became involved. I understand all that, I've been through that. And I know just what it is right now, but I just want to qualify that, you know, this is going to stop the appeals for next year.
Hopefully.
It's hopefully to correct.
Hopefully the taxes,
Yes.
you know, and whoever's going to do this reval, not reassessment, they're going to be on the street. They'll be reevaluating the property.
Yes, they'll be visiting
And
homes.
when that happens there, I mean, that's why we didn't have qualified people under Tyler that did it. They just hired anybody, went out there and did it.
When we did the reassessment 2 years after the reval, we
Yes, you did, 2
we
years
had
ago.
less complaints by a country mile than we had when we did the reval.
But that was
The
done
reval cost
electronically.
us through the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you pay for that. You talk about putting something into the capital program. Pay for a reval. I mean, the last I saw was that they wanted $85 per line item. Now you multiply that, I think we have like 14,000 line items. 16,000, okay, you're at 1.4 million. Before you even begin to talk about your tax map. I mean, you're closer to 2 million and we're getting away with 185. I don't want to spend that. Nobody up here does.
No,
We don't want to spend
and
that.
I don't want to spend it, I don't want to pay for it either, but I do know that, you know, in 2007, it was cost $800,000 and we got a bad job out of it.
Yep.
And I know that it would increase right now too, but I just want to make sure when the people go out and they do this reval, reassessment, whatever you want to call it, that it's going to be a fair situation too to everybody, because you never hit the 115% with the state to have a reval yet. And you didn't come to 85, you're under that yet. So you're going to have it done.
As fast as we can.
Fair is defined when my taxes go down.
The other thing.
I doubt if mine will go down, believe me, you know, because it actually in 10 years is doubled. In 10 years, the taxes double on my property.
thing
And
that
that's
has-
with 2 appeals too. So I'm very skeptical that if this isn't done properly, there's going to be like winners and losers, like you're saying. But I don't want to see a lot of winners and a lot of losers. It should be a fair situation, that's all I'm saying.
The thing that has to be
Thank you.
noted is there is no tax increase in tax system. The budget's set. The pie is made this big. We have to do a special budget insert and just for that $185,000. That's what this ordinance is for, is to get that. Some people's taxes are going to go up a little bit, some are going to go down, and some are going to stay the same. But the budget's set. There is no tax increase. The township's not making any money on this. They're actually spending money to have this done. So a lot of people are out there saying, oh, the township's going to change this and just get all this extra money. There is no extra tax money coming in because of this.
Well, I know this year it's already done, so it can't be changed, but looking at
This is why it's the
following
perfect
year.
time to try to get it done. before next year's budget.
Thanks a lot again for the information. I'll keep my hand down now.
Oh, please, I have a,
I bet 5 minutes.
all right. Don't be passing notes to Frank to come up there. Where are we at?
We need a motion.
We need a motion. Is there any other comment on this? I'm not sure what meeting I'm at. Go ahead. Motion?
Motion to pass ordinance 2013-12.
Second?
Somebody?
Is that a statement or a question?
No, it's a motion. Somebody needs to.
No, I mean, you said.
Oh, no. I'm looking for a second. There was that long pause there. I thought you guys were- had gone
Councilmember
somewhere.
Conrad. Councilmember Neville.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Beck.
Yes.
It was from the disbelief of Ed
It
saying
is.
to raise his hand.
Because they've gone into shutdown mode. All right, here we go. Administrative reports, any council comments, questions? Council comments? Councilman?
Let's see. Congratulations to the 2013 class of Lower Cape May Regional. Wonderful ceremony. It didn't rain, poured shortly afterwards, but for the ceremony, it was beautiful, proper temperature. I got July 3rd fireworks coming up, which everyone's thrilled about, which I'm sure the mayor's going to announce. The Slayer Station had a beautiful run the other day. If you could take part, they ran through the hangar. It's a good cause. But of course, it was a bad day because there was, 3 or 4 different events going that day. You went to the kayaks, I went to the run. There's a lot happening in this township. I keep saying be proud of it. I know there's some issues here and there. We're trying to get to them, try to correct them. They're not going to be fixed overnight. But look at the good we have here. Be proud of where you live.
My comments are going to be brief, most of it dealing with utilities. Is anybody having any problems with Verizon? Because in Town Bank, where I'm at, I've been going back and forth with Verizon. I haven't had a home phone for 3 weeks. And neither is my mom. I've gotten email of one of the ladies who said that if you email them, they will bill you appropriately, in other words, reduce the bill. Unfortunately, with the storms, they say if you call that automated number, it gives you, oh, you'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock or 11. And then it just keeps giving you tomorrow because the automated answering machine just gives you, a callback. And I actually have spoke to a person, and believe it or not, I got lied to. They said, oh, we'll forward it to your cell phone. And I hadn't gotten a phone call in 3-4 days, so I had my son call him, no forwarding. So if anybody else is experiencing a problem with Verizon, I at least do have a contact where you can get your bill reduced by the time they finally get it back on.
Councilman, we met with the Verizon representative the other day. I had Matt Eckert here from the MUA, and they had a situation where the installation of the water lines that were going in, they cut about 100 lines of the Verizon. The contractor did cut about 100 of the phone lines like you're talking about, and they're trying to get them restored. They're going to have to put a whole new line in. It's going to be very expensive for the insurance company that backs up that contractor. And out of all that, we only have one Comcast complaint. But I wasn't even aware, to be honest, of the Verizon. It was an MUA issue. I'm glad Matt was here to deal with it. We had a very good, nice representative from Verizon, and they're going to have to put a whole new line in. They said they're doing some temporaries, but they're going to be working during the nights, full-time, to restore these lines.
Well, I do have, at least, and there's a lot more information. I do have an email from a lady who will take care of the billing. Don't call me at home though, because you'll get to me. To touch on the energy, myself and Councilman Douglas are going to meet with a few of the energy providers that are licensed through the DCA and see what one, or choose one. The way that the BPU man explained it and the way that Dell explained it to us, the resident needs to do nothing. They will send out information about what's going to happen. Nothing's going to change as far as the resident's concerned. The billing still comes from Atlantic City Electric, but instead of the Atlantic City Electric rate, which in Hess's case saved only 0.002, we may get a better rate of almost a penny or a penny too. Depends, because it goes to a reverse auction after, as we have 16,000 meters in Lower Township, and we'll talk to the different vendors and come to what hopefully is the best solution for the town, where you can actually save some of the money that maybe we have to pay back towards more taxes. That's all I have.
Okay, I have the pleasure of saying thank you for a number of businesses that have gotten underneath the Friends of Lower Township program that we've announced earlier. As you know, this is an effort to raise funds in support of our recreational programs, especially our fireworks. And this year, instead of just asking people for money and saying thank you for doing the fireworks, we're asking for sponsorships and then praising and promoting these companies as Friends of Lower Township throughout the entire year. So in that context, we've already said thank you to Geisis Market, who was one of our first gold sponsor. We've just added 3 additional gold sponsors this week. Thanks to Daniel Cohen, who is the leader, the CEO of the Atlantic Capes Fisheries, and he has sort of brought in some of his fellow fishery operators, including Lund's Fisheries and Jeff Reichel. And together they're going to be contributing $7,500 towards our recreational programs. And I say these things because we're going to be thanking them from our websites, we're going to be thanking from press releases, and we're going to be thanking from the radio stations and from the rooftops and from the automated messages that we do in announcing the fireworks. But I'm encouraging each and every person here, when you go to, if you see any of these people, say thank you to them so that they know that you've heard. We've also want to add a couple of our silver sponsors that have come on, including Kindle Ford, as well as South Jersey Marina. Okay? So those are additional ones this week. Totally, we're raising $30,000 in support of all these programs. The MUA has put in $5,000. The Delaware River and Bay Authority has put in $5,000. That leaves another $20,000, and we're getting close to the mark. So I want to thank them publicly, and just ask you to thank them when you see them.
That's it? Thank you, John. You mean Geis's Meat Market, home of the best smoked turkey this side of the Delaware?
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. We have a number of items to read out. Speaking of John, the Friends of the Fishing Creek School very wisely canceled their summer music program last Friday, or we would have been swimming around while we were singing down there. But I strongly encourage people to come down. That'll be this. It was postponed to this Friday, the 21st, and the original program still stands, which is it's a patriotic Flag Day salute. A lot of John Philip Sousa. It's really a great program. We did this last year, this one, specific one, and everybody who attended this really enjoyed themselves. So that's this Friday at 6 o'clock at the Fishing Creek School, which is right down next to Domino's Pizza there. Bring a lawn chair, come out and eat a lot of free food, and listen to some really good music. Hope to see you there. So that's one. 2. Lower Township Independence Day Festival and Fireworks, Wednesday, July 3rd. Rain date will be Friday, July 5th. It's I don't know that there's a program we have that generates as much positive feedback as the fireworks. I think we absolutely do have the best fireworks program in South Jersey. We always hear that from people that go out there. It is a phenomenal event, and it's so much fun out there. It's really kind of a nice community feeling walking up and down there. So you have Wednesday, July 3rd, rides, food, entertainment, fun for all, guaranteed. Okay, so that one's down here too. Now this was fantastic last year, the free summer concerts. That was just an awesome evening over by the ferry last year. And I don't know if anybody in here was there, but it was just, we have the B Street Band, Wednesday, July 10th. That's at 5:30 p.m. You bring a blanket, it's free, and then the DRBA is such great hosts that we co-sponsor this with them. There's all sorts of food vendors over there, and they were a tremendous group, the B Street Band. And then on the 24th, we've got the Sensational Soul Cruisers. at the same place, at the ferry terminal grounds in North Cape May. That's Wednesday, July 24th at 5:30 p.m. So you got two concerts, July 10th, July 24th. I don't know if anybody remembers last year. I'll never forget with the B Street Band. We had like thousands of dragonflies out there. They were just incredible. I don't know where they came from. I'd like to say we rented them out for the evening, but we really didn't. They just kind of showed up.
Way to sell it there.
So we were sans mosquitoes, that's for sure. It was great. The dragonflies were just so pretty. They were eating the mosquitoes. And you were eating the what? The sausages, right? I think it was. Okay, now to get serious just for a quick moment here. We got a program coming next month. And this is called the 15-minute Child Break Parent Presentation. And I gave this to the reporters. But we want to get this message loud and clear. And when we began our SART, our Substance Abuse Response Team that's in-house, we challenged each other to try and, in our various ways in various departments throughout the township, to come up with some things to help in this fight. Whether it's a small piece with Sharon's presentation on, people going back to school and developing a sense of pride in themselves, or this is for parents. And it says here, it has a really kind of a cute picture. It says, invite her to dinner. In fact, having just one meal a day with your child could decrease the likelihood that she'll try marijuana by up to 2/3. Bon appetit. So this is a 15-minute child break parent presentation. Spend an hour learning how to talk to your kids about drugs and alcohol. And the one who went out and who deserves the credit for this is Colleen Crippen, who was our MAC coordinator. And this will be August 15th at 6 p.m. here. And she's not here this week, she's on vacation. They started this thing where they give them vacations now. So the end result is she'll be here next Monday, I believe. But we wanted to get the word out at this council meeting for specific questions. I have some information for the press if they want to look at it, but it's for the parents, it's not for the kids. It's for parents to come in here and to learn how to talk to your kids. That's one of the parts that we're working on. Then we have another part, which is that at the end of September in this town hall, we're going to have a symposium that will be a fairly good sized one, that it will involve substance abuse response. And we're bringing all the different organizations here, the prosecutor, and as we go through July and August, we'll be ringing that bell much more heavily. We're just trying to get the word out. The problem's real. It exists throughout the state, but we're taking lead in trying to confront that problem for our residents right here. Okay, but this is a big deal. And if I had a 13, 14-year-old son or daughter, I'm at this program. I'm here. It's my kid. I want to put an umbrella. I want to put saran wrap around my kid. I want to protect my kid. And if I pick up one thing here, that's success. And there's enough out there now that it just breaks your heart when you pick up, or you go online, you see what. The headline, 2 more overdoses in county or whatever, it's there. Okay, enough said. Open up for public comment, call to the public. If you have a question or comment, please step forward. Here comes a gentleman from the back here.
Hi. Shore Drive up in Cape May Beach. I was here in August asking about repaving Clubhouse Road. I was here last May and you said it'd be done by middle of June, which I doubted. But it is now middle of June and it's not done.
You're right, you're absolutely right.
What do you think's going to happen? Because now the other roads are terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, can we get at least something started here sometime soon?
Well,
some lady took a spill on the corner of my street on a pipe when she hit the new water pipe stuff, and they had to call EMT for her. So, this is not only just an inconvenience, it's also a safety hazard.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay?
I get frustrated, as the council does, because sometimes government doesn't move as quick as we want. And we've started, if you've seen surveyors out there, we've started surveying the roadway. Our in-house engineer is developing the specs and plans that are going to the DOT for approval. We have to wait for that approval before our own paving crew can work with the MUA to get that road done. We're also looking to put a second pipe under the Clubhouse Road there to help with the Coxhall Creek drainage to flow in and out. I honestly felt by June, the middle of June, we would have this started, but we're still waiting for the approval from the state. And that's about where it stands right now. I was here, Director of Public Works, he's shaking his head yes at this point. Gary, do you have anything more to add on that, other than what I know today talking to our engineer? That's where it's at. I'm being quite honest, Mayor. That's where it stands.
I went to the MUA's meeting, Mr. Young, and nice article in the Star and Wave on it. They are at least now making sure that the patches that finally go back after it's settled are doing a nice job on it, where you can actually pipe without taking a spill. If you would, when you leave here and you go back to your home, go out this road, make a left on Beechwood, and see what kind of road job they did. Okay, McKinley is being done now. When the final product's done, the quality of the job is going to be remembered long. If it's not done right, yeah, we're dealing with potholes that are dangerous. I asked the MUA, because there's a few in Town Bank where Pioneer Pipe dug the ditch, put the pipe in, and filled in right away. 2 days later, whatever it was. It looked good for a week. It's a year later now, and it's not so good. It's bellied in.
Right.
So, at least if nothing
Yeah,
else,
I agree.
it's being done. And so
Whatever
patience.
they're doing new down here
Yes.
in Bayside
Right.
Village, they're
Right.
doing better
Yes.
than what they did in Town Bank.
Correct.
It's two different contractors.
And unfortunately,
But don't you have any opportunity to go back and
we're
sue
going.
these guys or
Yeah, MUA.
We definitely going to meet, because I live on one of the worst ones in Town Bank, Adelphia, and there is a bid, performance bond, and I asked them about it, and we are going to meet and get together cooperatively, both the township and the MUA, while they have the milling machine, and try and correct the roads that weren't done properly. I can also tell you, though, that the whale of a day on July 6th, we certainly wouldn't want Clubhouse Drive looking like McKinley, which is being repaired.
So I understand. But, you still, at this point, you have no idea, right? You have no date.
I have no date.
You have no idea.
I'll be very honest. We're waiting on the state of New Jersey. The review process does not move as quick as we do in local government.
Well, think of me as an iceberg. I'm here the only one talking about this, but there's a lot of people under me who are coming to me and complaining about these roads.
Well, the councilman's right on it. And at the MUA, my partner, Matt Eckert over there, I know he's doing the very best he can. You look at Village Street right across the way, how nice that was temporarily paved, and the final product, the people are happy. And then our local public works just redid a road there. There was two different contractors. Without mentioning names, one was better than the other.
I'm floating in that same ocean as the iceberg, trust me, I hear it. And that's why I'm down there trying to get it fixed. And
Well, I want to be positive, as Councilman Conrad talked about earlier in the day, but it's a mess.
I know. And unfortunately,
Certainly, we understand that you're putting water meters in and all that kind of.
Well, that's not us, that's MUA, that's the one part that has to be understood. We work with them, but all that tearing up and all that, believe it or not, my street got tore up, and a week and a half later, I got a notice saying, hey, we're gonna be on your street tearing it up for water lines. Been waiting 20 years. Past month and a half, I lost all my parking area in front of my house, but now I got dirt, and I'm starting to have to live with it, because I wasn't expecting that at all this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to feel your.
We're all starting to get we want it
It's just a
done.
pain, it's been like that way too long, so I don't know why they couldn't at least do something, at least have done that part of the road, right? That part, well, you said they're putting a new pipe under there now, so.
Well, we are working with the MUA, but out of all due respect, the comments you have belong at the MUA meeting. It's their project that they're doing. We work cooperatively with them. and we're going to work with them on the Clubhouse Road, but this audience, with this council, doesn't control those projects.
Well, I've been there. You know, I went to MUA, they sent me back here. So you guys have to figure out who's the horse and who's the cart.
All right, well, trust me, I was at the last MUA meeting as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Young, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council? Close the public portion.
Resolution number 2013-186. A resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. This is to discuss possible litigation.
Allow the motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Dak?
Yes.